That's right, we have ninjas running it back here, and, well, another doubleheader regional, well, where tier also was successful. Don't be like 30% of you that have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Make sure you guys smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. To start things off here, we have your breakdown out of this regional, and yes, that is double Naturia Runic taking down the leading spot out of this event, which I'm actually very genuinely happy to see that. Anytime that we can see like the Runic presence actually doing its job, it's actually pretty good. We also had 2 Sprite in your top cut as well. I'm not too crazy to see that, but from the overall representation that Sprite has been kind of having as of late, okay. Now we also have 1 branded doing its job as well. We had a Sun Avalon in top cut, and then of course the story of Ninja running this event home, which is incredibly interesting. Now we are missing 1 for your pie chart here. I don't think it's that big of a deal to kind of paint the picture. It could have been a cashier, it could have been something else, but you have an idea of how this regional went down. So let's pass on over to the deck list. Winning your event and actually getting 5th place here was the exact same Naturia Runic deck. Now, for those of you that have been paying attention to this deck, seeing Droll Knockbird in here is kind of an interesting inclusion. You're basically going to be using your Naturia engine to capitalize on the standard build a board-esque feel that this deck has had going for it. And then to top things off, you're going to be using the side deck down here, which a lot of buy steals, by the way. I don't know what really, I guess, possessed them to be this crazy with the amount of buy steals that are present in this side deck, but they went pretty ham. We also have some kaijus down here as well, and access to the powerful Dark Ruler no more to stun any sort of like advancement that the opponent will have in game state. But this build is definitely a lot more designed to clean up a lot more of the localized metagame, and I think that that's actually pretty good overall. Seeing that this took down the event, not all that shocked about it. Now our ninja list here. Now this is kind of interesting. We're playing Lord of the Heavenly Prison in here, kind of showing that we can detour the opponent's strategy by putting a little bit more pressure on them to protect our face-down ninjutsu arts, which is kind of an interesting little tech choice here. We're also only playing one of the green ninja, which everybody has sworn is like the best ninja available to mankind. So the fact that you kind of got a little bit of a switch up here is good. And then you're going to see the side deck down here is going to be a lot of controlling cards, allowing this deck to kind of navigate and transform itself here into other variables, which is kind of nice. The more control cards that I feel like that you can bring to the table here for this is actually going to be pretty good. But overall, I like the options that this build has, and I think it's definitely something to be explored here kind of going forward. We're going to pass over to the second regional. Alright, our second regional breakdown here out of Austria is kind of a little bit more than I'm used to seeing at this point. We have Kashtira taking the lead here, showcasing the awesome power that, well, the main meta contender has had going for it out of a majority of the format. It's a story as old as a tier 1 deck can be. We also had 1 Sword Soul in top cut, which I'm fine with that. We had 1 Sprite, basic stuff. We had 1 Labyrinth, a Math Mech, and Tier. Now, the thing that really caught my attention here was anytime we see Tier kind of showing up here in the format, it also kind of begs the question of, you know, what more can we actually see here? Like, what formulae of excitement are they bringing to the table? So I think that's kind of cool. And then we also had 1 more unknown out of this tournament. Both of these tournaments had unknowns in terms of their representation, so it is what it is. All right, we're going to pass it over to deck list. All right, the first deck that we have here for our top cut is actually the Power of Kashtira. Now, a majority of these Kashtira decks have started to blend together. I think the thing that's most interesting about this list is the fact that they are hammering in the triple copies of Evenly Matched. They don't want to be caught in the metagame right now, I guess, with the opponent dedicating and making too much advantage. We're not even playing the thrust in the main deck to toggle for them. There's no thrust anywhere here for this. We're relying on the Book of Eclipses for standard board breaking, and we're also playing Lightning Storms in here as well. A lot of heavy board breaking in this list, which I think is fine overall. Also double Zeus, we are playing the Goliath, and we're just siding our lances and our econs. So our defensive options that you normally would see in a lot of these builds being dedicated to the main decks have been shoved down into the side deck, which, once again, it's going to depend on localized metagame performance here to see if there's much of a change, but makes sense. Next up here is our Sword Soul list, sporting off the Divine Carnate in the main deck. We're also main decking one evenly matched so that we can actually hit it off with a Crossout Designator in case our opponent, I guess, hits the high roll to blow us out. And the fact that you can actually see that is hilarious. I repeat, hilarious. We are main decking Econ in here as well, which is kind of an interesting little slice. I like the idea that they're trying to do with this. We are not actually focusing on any of the no Synthana in here, just double Vishuddha, which is fine. We play the other evenly matched in case we need to access it later on. We have the other Divine Carnate in the side deck as well. A lot of interesting ratios. Also only double Monk. I have a feeling that somebody's going to comment on that and be like, really? Double Monk? You didn't need the third? Sometimes, but not all the time. Next up is our Sprite variant here. We are playing the Scissors in here, which is fine. I see that we are also focusing on Melfi cards in here as well. We've seen a little bit of the Splash Melfi package kind of starting to show up and kind of detour the opponents, because when you can start pressuring your opponent with a little Melfi package to access Herald, Joyous Melfis as well, you have a lot of different engines that you can take advantage of. I also see that we are main decking one-dimensional barrier in here as well, with no Crossout Designators, but they're also citing Royal Decree down there. I believe that they probably went ahead and put that in just as an option card to search off of Thrust to punish the opponent, which is, once again, kind of a cute little inclusion. When you can include your tech choices like that in the main deck and actually kind of take advantage of them, things get super cute out here in the format. So this Sprite variant is pretty tacked out. I actually like what we're seeing here. Next up here is the power of Labyrinth. Now, we have been seeing a lot of these Labyrinth variants here starting to play Gamma. Gamma has gained a lot of popularity as of late because Gamma gives the deck a defensive option in the way of being able to punish a monster effect that they normally might not be able to do, or, you know, like an Ash or something stopping their plays turn one. Like if you, I don't know, like Big Welcome Labyrinth, you don't have a monster on the field and they try to do something and you're like, oh, haha, I have the Gamma or something along those lines. The value out of the extension off of that actually is pretty good. As you've noticed, it's good enough that players are out here actually playing it. We're citing the Destructive Daruma cannons down in the side deck as well, so you've got plenty of options available to you here to kind of showcase what you want to do. But outside of that, Labyrinth still feels very, very, very fragile to me. Alright, next up is our tier deck. Oh boy, we're playing Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer in here, DPE. Okay, that's kind of interesting. We're focusing on militias. We do have the Ishizu package in the deck, which is fine. We're also playing some dangers to be able to filter through cards and start generating other advantage that way. The fact that, honestly, the DPE doesn't seem like a terrible thing in here, considering the fact you can fusion sub if you really need to. Well, actually, looking at this build, I think that your opponent's not going to stop the Fusion Destiny, I don't think. Which means that you should be able to kind of snowball out a whole bunch of advantage here and just kind of start winning. Also, the Triff Karma in here feels really, really good. And also, we're siding the Gammas and the Driver down there. My real favorite card this format. So much advantage can be generated off of that. Next up here, we have Math Mech. Oh boy. The OTK deck itself. Now, this build's kind of interesting because they opted to play the one Doggeron in here, which gives this deck, you can technically small world for it, depending on, you know, how you need to bridge the gap, which actually is really good, being able to out an opponent's monster. Small world has turned this deck into something very, very interesting for the aspect of you can now answer everything that you need to through the specifics of your monsters, which once again is really good. We also side the additional Kaiju down there, which is fine. We're playing double Update Jammer. That's very interesting. So in case something happens to the first update jammer, or you fail the OTK, or something, you can actually make the second one to climb up into the access code talker. That's kind of interesting. Huh. I'm actually impressed or intrigued by the fact that we have the second one in here for the OTK ratio. And then the last we have here is another cash dealer deck. Yay, cash money, dollar bills. I see that we are playing the cross-out designators in here with one Book of Eclipse, one Book of Moon, and one evenly matched. So all the things that can stop you. Though we did opt for the additional copy of Nibiru here, so you can go ahead and detour the opponent. It's kind of interesting, and I see that we are playing... We're playing one of the fossil dino tanks down here in the extra deck, and along with the Garuda. No Goliath, of course. And we are playing some dimension shifters in here as well. So, another breakdown, another interesting event. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment about what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.